Hello, welcome pen friends. Welcome to day 11 of 30 Inks 30 Days. We're still doing Straits Pen Honest Ink. This is the fourth one of theirs from Ink Flight 30. Or at least this is the color that I'm writing with today. Anyway, and maybe some others that are following along. And it's called Literally the Only Serious Color in the Batch, something like that. And it is a like a blue-black. So I'm real excited about this. Let me show you. It came out of the bath test looking like this. So it just had very, very little resistance to the water. You can still sort of read the fadedness that's in there, but it makes it very typical, really, and probably easy to clean out of our pens. So we'll find that out. So yesterday's was very easy to clean out. If you remember, yesterday we did Sad Stormy Swedish Sea, which was kind of a dark teal. Whoops. Trying to get lighting here. And it gets an A on the clean out scale. So I always like to flip back and tell you about that. So, okay, I want to mess myself up. There we go. So I've put it here so we can see our continuing collection of inks. And let's get right over to our dedicated page here. Today, we started a new spread, so we don't have to worry too much. Okay, here it is, right here. We're having, oh, where'd I get that from? Oh, I bet you I picked that up from here. Something probably wasn't dry yet. Oh, I just made a mess on my page. That's a shame. Oh, the trials. Okay, here it is in the broad nib. We'll have to ignore my little scrape there. That is totally operator error. And it took 30 seconds to dry, but backing up a little, let me just say that I got an email this morning. Well, actually, it came in like at midnight or something from Lemur Pen. And they do have these inks available. And I think it's limited quantities. They were picked up at the San Francisco Pen Show. And they're listing them 30 mil for $14. So if you still have pen allowance left, I don't, but if you do, and you're interested in them, I'll link it in the video, but it's Lemur ink. I probably need to learn how to pronounce that. So I was finding it took somewhere between 20 and 30 seconds to dry in my broad nib. And then in the stub nib, I was having trouble with this stub nib. And I'll show you a little bit better because it wasn't giving me bad trouble yet during this test. But we're going to have to talk about that. So that you can be aware. I guess it was dry at 30, it was dry at 25, and then it was smearing at 20. So somewhere between 20 and 25 seconds to dry in that particular nib, which was acting balky. So I'm not sure whether we can really count on that or not. But in the fine nib, this is what it looked like here, and it was taking about 20 seconds to dry. Okay, my first impressions, this is the right blue-black ballpark for me, definitely. And I'll show you when we look at the comparisons. I like it. It's got a brightness and it doesn't show too black. So here is the chromatography. It went right up pretty easily, you know. It didn't leave one solid line. It just moved right up. And then it's almost looking purple up there at the top. Let's see if we can get that where you can see it. I thought it was real pretty. Now, I got to be careful because somewhere there was a cause of that there, and I would, oh, okay, I see, right there. Can you see that dot? Anyway, that dot's still wet, and one of the other ones was probably responsible for me getting into, I'm surprised it didn't make a lot worse mess. I closed the notebook on this. Anyway, you never do that, and I know better. This is Tomoe River 52 GSM. This one is the 68 GSM. In the notebook. So we get to kind of look at what it looked like on here. Looks really good. The camera's darkening it just a little bit, but not a whole lot. So we just always need to try to get samples if we can. And then on the back, it did seep through and bleed through this 52 GSM. So let's look and see how it did on this one. So it didn't do that on this one. We just get just a tiny bit of ghosting, and it isn't enough to bother me whatsoever. So we'll leave this here and we'll go ahead and get out the Rodya. This is where my pen issues with the stub started, but rather than reinvent the entire day, you know, I'm just gonna make you aware of it. But here's in the broad nib. I guess I had issues with that too. Oh my goodness, I don't know what was going on. So we've got, like, I would say these two lines are pretty representative, and then it lightens some. And then we got this here seems a little dark, so I was getting pretty frustrated, but that is the kind of thing where if it happens on a regular profile or review, I spend 2 or 3 days with the inks, and this is different. So it's requiring me to, you know, just either press on or throw in the towel, and I'm not gonna give up. I'm just gonna be aware that I dropped down into the stub and I was having trouble there. I don't know if you can see, but there's a drastic difference in, you know, how that was coming across. Still looked really pretty, but I began to realize that I was having pen issues because see how light that is? That just is too light, and the scrubby was too light too, and I just, oh boy. And then we were having a thunder and lightning storm, but it's over now. But we'll have 3 to put across here. I'm going to take this off, but we don't want to forget that we are dealing with, we don't want to judge the ink by what's going on in the middle here. So the fine nib, fine lamy nib, there it is. And I was having a hard time. I think I was watching a video, which is not a good idea. One that I needed to look at rather than listen to, because I'm pretty good at counting my, you know, counting my seconds, but I had one that was not in my language, and I was just watching what she was doing. But it did take 20 seconds to dry when I finally got around to catching myself in time. Oh, and I wrote, I may be ready to get a regular nib and feed for the broad nib. Yeah, but that's been going on in my mind for a while. I love that serendipity. It's a good place to start, but I'm wondering if I need a little more consistency. So that's like note to self. Okay, so as we put it here, we can see a little bit of what I was talking about. Okay, now over here on the CVS caliber paper, we just came off of Rodya 80 GSM, and we'll look at the back in a minute. Everything had straightened out with the broad nib and was going along real fine, but it was taking a while to dry, a little bit more than 30 seconds. And I was having trouble with the pen, and I primed the feed. I don't like to do that unless I have to, because for one thing, it's never happened before, so that was weird, that having to. And then for another thing, I didn't want it to go to the opposite direction, which is what happens sometimes. I mean, you have to scribble and write until it's finally at its normal. But I did that, and I have those papers underneath to prove it. But yeah, so I'm not happy with this part. I think that's not a good representation of what the ink looks like, so I'm going to kind of cover that up. 15, maybe 18 to 20 seconds to dry in that, but we can't really, yeah, that was a frustrating round with things. And then in the fine nib on this paper, no, doesn't work good. And I began to wonder if it was not a very good combination in either of these two nibs, but then why was it okay in the serendipity? So this is where I like to spend more time with the ink. And in fact, I know I'm not going to be really feeling like I've given it my all yet, for sure. So no bleed through, just a little bit of ghosting like usual. And then let's hop on the Rodya 80 GSM. Same thing, it's really nice. It doesn't hardly show anything. So if we have them side by side, sort of, let's see, without dumping everything on the floor, and we take off the little warning label, I think we can begin to see. Yeah, I think we can really begin to see. I really like it, but I liked it best. I wasn't having problems yet on the Tomoe River paper, which is so odd. It just seemed like it was going really well there. And then I had the other issues that came kind of after a while in the middle. So that's what that's like. Oh, and I did grab one more paper. I guess I should leave this here, because I did go ahead and get my Clairefontaine out after I felt as if perhaps everything had straightened itself out. This is Clairefontaine 90 GSM from our normal reviews. I always use this. And I thought that that was a good representation of what the stub really looked like. And there it is compared with the Tomoe River paper. And I don't know if we can even go by this. Maybe the top line. And we can't go by that. It just wasn't cooperating, I guess. And I'm talking about the pen and the nib. So, broad nib, 30 plus seconds to dry in that. 20 seconds it was dry in the stub nib. Isn't that seems unusual. And then 20 seconds it was all dry in the fine nib. 15 it was just a little bit of a smear there. So this is Clairefontaine. This is real good paper. It does sometimes act really dry. So that's why I put it on here, because if it was the ink, then it would have given me all kinds of trouble, even after priming the feed and even after, I mean, you know, and this had been a while. I had written then quite a bit more before I went on to the Clairefontaine. So I know that it wasn't the ink where I had those problems. It was definitely something going on with my stub. With the feed, not necessarily the nib. Oh my goodness. Okay, so there's that. And now let's look at some comparison panels. I've got a cat crying. It's a cat emergency. Okay, well, apparently it wasn't an emergency. That was Princess. And she was so vocal, I thought either she wanted to go out or there wasn't food in her bowl, but she's just laying there looking at me now, but give it a minute. She'll probably want to go out. They've been fussy today because of the weather. So, okay, right in the middle is our color of the day, and it's Straits pen, Honest Ink, literally the only serious color in the batch, I think is the rest of the name. So this was really interesting to me. Yesterday I had Diamine Twilight on the panel, and of course it didn't actually go with our ink yesterday. Not really. So I thought, well, I must just like that ink, because look, this was yesterday's. The Sad Stormy Swedish Sea, which is much more of a teal. So anyway, it's correctly placed, I think, today. And then on the other side, I put Papier Plume de Bleu, because I felt like there was a lot in common with that one. You know, on the surface, again, we have to dive quite a bit deeper to find out. But and then up here, Pelikan Edelstein Tanzanite. That is different, and yet it did make the panel. I don't have like an exhaustive supply of blue-black, but thanks to Pen Friends, I have quite a few. And also, you know, I've picked up some through the ink flights from Ink Journal. So down here is Tasha Blue-Black, a different shade. We're getting a little brightening on our color of the day and a few others because of our lighting situation, but they're all being treated equally, so at least we can compare them on the same, you know, the white background with the same light and everything in camera. I really wonder about this. I think this is pretty close, really. And then some of these others are not that close, but this one, the Fountain Pen Revolution Blue-Black, has become very popular with me. It was very inexpensive to buy, and it has worked out great on all the paper that I write on. So I do notice it's darker, and I do favor this lighter blue-black with maybe, there's something different about it that it's hard for me to describe what it is. But still, I use this as a daily writer. I take notes like mad, and I know that I'm not like I'm not using expensive ink. It's just so nice to be able to not worry, because I did buy, they had a sale and I bought a large bottle of that. So let's see what else is notable. Aurora Blue-Black. I've never purchased Aurora ink. This was a sample, but I remember I really liked it for the flow. It flowed really well. That was something I'll never forget, and people might not like it for that. If they're using cheaper paper, it may bleed through and that kind of thing, but I did like that one. This one I haven't given enough work with yet, Pilot Iroshizuku Shinkai, but I have heard a lot of good about it, and I'm eager to try that one. You know, we're not looking at the same, you know, there's quite a bit of difference in everything except for this middle row here, I would say. And then I'm about to throw in another batch of variables, because I've got a whole bunch more that didn't make the panel. And so, in no particular order really, because that's the way the day is, I guess. Here's Diamine Blue-Black so that you could compare the two. It's just really different, isn't it? But that way, at least we get to see it beside these other ones. Gee, that looks, not so much black or something. I'm not really sure. And they did put blue first. I guess they always do that, except for Noodlers. They had one. Okay, here's Rohr and Klinger Vert de Gris. Thought I had put this on the panel. Something bumped this one, I think. It's really pretty. And it may not even be a blue-black, but for some reason I got it out. I was interested in remembering how it would compare to these. Huh. Very, very pretty. I know that. Okay, here's Kyoto Ink. And, okay, I don't remember how to pronounce that, but here's the, hopefully it's in nice focus. And that just doesn't look like a blue-black at all to me. It looks like a blue that somehow reminded me. Probably it was something to do with the chromatography that did that. What else have I got? Oh, Noodler's black and blue. Now, that seems strange. Let's see here. Didn't we just have one that... Okay, so there's those two at the same time. Diamine Blue-Black and Noodler's black and blue. This is a vast category here, and you can kind of get sidetracked like I did with all these different options. This is one I absolutely loved, and it's going to look more purple, but it does on my paper too, you know, and to my eye, not just with the camera, but it is a really pretty blue-black, and I did get cartridges of this. I think it was a matter of low pen allowance or something, and I thought, well, I'd love to have some of this, and I do have a little pen that takes cartridges only, so I did get some of those. Here is Birmingham Grandview Avenue Midnight Horizon. Whoops, we have slideage. Okay. Yeah, and it's sort of at home with some of these, but it doesn't really look like our ink of the day. But Birmingham is always a good option. And then this is Nemesine Pallades Blue-Black. This is one that needs to be profiled, actually. I've had it a while. Pen friend Sharon sent it, and I don't believe I profiled it yet. Okay, here's one, just because you're probably familiar with Noodler's 54th Mass. It's a very bulletproof ink, and it's different, and yet there's some similarity too. And it's a nice option if you're looking for permanent. And then Caran d'Ache Magnetic Blue. I had a nice generous sample of that, and it comes up a lot in comparison. I guess I just have it in my head that ink would be too expensive for me, because I haven't tried to purchase any by them, even though they've got some awesome inks. Okay, one more, if we haven't already done it. Uh-oh, I'm not sure. Rattle-headed professor today. Okay, J. Arbonne Bleu des Profondeurs. Really bright and different, but interesting how it compares to the rest of these, especially the Pelikan Edelstein Tanzanite. And I have such a favorable opinion of Pelikan inks. But I felt like today's ink, and I think this is what's illustrating this, I felt like it was a little bit... you know, it's special. It seems not completely unique. There are a few that are similar, but I really like it. So let's talk about, you know, how that came out in the little book that I will be reviewing this. I'll be doing a full review on this little insert book. This I've already reviewed, the leather. This is by Standard Night. But this little booklet that Brian from the Pen Thing sent, after 30 Inks 30 Days, I'll have a lot of experience with it, and I'll be able to do a little review and compare it to some of the other options I've tried. So it's neat. I've actually been thinking about what I would put on my list as like priority things that I'd like to remember, because I think mine would be just a little different, but lots of these are important to think of, and we're all so unique though. Okay, so here it is, and yeah, it's coming through really dark. That's lighting and all this bright white from the paper. Straits pen, Honest Ink, literally the only serious color in the batch, in the Serendipity Broad on 9/11. Okay, seem to have to redip the Serendipity a lot. Okay, but see, these are technical issues that I'm having with my pens, and it could just be that I'm becoming more aware of things like that and being a little bit more, you know, mindful of what's happening. So that is not to really say anything about the ink or the papers. Saturation I thought was good, real good. Flow, it was good. It was really good, and that may indicate, like, I don't think it was like dropping out of the pen like it would with the Aurora ink. It wasn't like that, so don't get me wrong, but definitely it was good flow. Shading, I put it less than average. I wasn't picking up on a lot of shading. I didn't pick it up, but I was having so much trouble with my pens that I would hate for anybody to keep that as an impression when it might not be true. Bleeding and feathering, skip that because I'm using paper that doesn't do that. Dry time, average, I thought. No sheen, halo, or shimmer that I could see. And that was true even on the 52 GSM Tomoe River paper. Okay, I guess I gave it a 6.5. Gee, I was rough on it. Other favorite blue blacks. Oh, okay, so this is a category that can boggle my mind. There's so many. And I think I would even take into consideration, am I going to have pen allowance when this is available? And I think that could even affect my rating, which isn't really fair to the ink either probably. But that's where I'm coming in to realize there's a lot to this. And I need more tests because of my pen issues. So like if I was doing a list of what was important, definitely one of the things I would put on here would be availability, because nothing, you know, irks me more. Now, right now it's available, and it may be like if a person's patient too, even after they sell out at the other place, you may be able to get it. So it's too soon to tell, being a new ink brand and everything. But I'm real touchy about availability because of being on a budget, and I know a lot of us are, so it's just the way it is, you know. Okay, I know that I thought maybe we'd try a little art technique today, like we did. It's the Nick Stewart art technique, loosely, you know, because I'm not an expert at it, but it's fun to do. So let's see, I've got this ready. I've got 2 pens that I can come in with to do detailing. And I think that's it. I got this horrible sense of forgetting something really important. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Let's see what happens. Well, isn't that interesting? Did I not put enough water? Let's see. Oh, okay. You see how, like, it boggles my mind how we're not machines, so if we don't do everything exactly the same, like if I put down a different amount of water, it might give us the impression, some sort of impression, but well, I guess multiple tests. Adam says that a lot, and I know Vita did. Multiple tests are important to see, because like one time it might be just a fluke, or an individual might happen one way, and we need to see it several ways. To be a little more scientific. Whoa! If you're still with me, bless you, because I'll tell you. I haven't even looked to see how long I've got. Oh my goodness, it is long. Okay, well, I'm almost done. Just wanted you to see how this might react. Oh, that's pretty. Actually, I'm really loving what I'm seeing, because look at that teal come out, or, well, turquoise come out. And in the sky up there to the right, I'm seeing pink, which I'm surprised. That kind of gave me a surprise. But, oh, that is neat down below there. Let's see if I can get details in before it dries. I'm not really sure. Oh, there we go. Look at that. Oh yeah, it likes that. That reminds me of my mom's, like, china. She had, whoops, she had some, or stoneware, I guess, that kind of had blue and white. That's pretty. Blue, Was it Blue Willow? Oh my, I can't even remember. I wonder where that is now. Huh. I think it'll be in the photos and in my memory. But that's pretty nice. I'm still able to get some details. Whoop, I get further down and we're losing it. Okay, I think it needs just a little water. Maybe just a little. I meant to have my water brush out, but I didn't. I just want to fuzz that so it doesn't look quite so silly. Looks like a tree growing out of the air, but that's okay. It'll change, and I think I can blur it. Yeah, just blur it a little. That's pretty. I really like doing this. Let's see. I had yesterday's here. This is yesterday's, all dried. I think we were having a little more dramatic. It looked prettier till it dried, but still, I still find value in this. Okay, real quick, I want to show you what's for tomorrow. Tomorrow's the Bleep ink. This is Straits Pen Honest ink, and it's a brown. And it's the Bleep Sepia, and you can pick on me if you want, but I don't want to get in trouble with anybody who might like take away something from my channel for swearing. So, okay, there it is. So that'll be fun. Now, the only question left is, what did you think of today's ink? Even in spite of all my little issues, hopefully you got a chance to see where it falls. And, you know, this is brand new to us, so it is, you know, it's a whole new line of ink to explore, and I love this. Oh my gosh, that leads me to one more thought. People have said not to worry about how long I talk, so I'm just going to go ahead and show you this. I fell off the wagon again. I have to have the ink flight. And I wound up ordering it, and it is a brand new, to me, line of ink that I have never tried a single sample of, and I'm totally excited. So there will be a video coming, but I just wanted to tell you that. So let me know what you think of today's ink, and thank you for being here, and thank you if you made it this far. You get some kind of an award. Okay, bye for now.